Welcome to I Said What I Said. I'm Brad Wakai. That's Tyson Gentry. The NBA Finals are here as we have the San Antonio Spurs against the New York Knicks. Not what people thought coming into the playoffs, Tyson. I think maybe some people thought the Spurs could get here. I don't think a lot of people thought the Knicks could get here. So what we're going to do, obviously, talk about this finals, this matchup, what we think is going to go on, how we got here, what's going on with the Knicks, what's going on with the Spurs, yada, yada. A little bit later, we'll dive into how we think the Spurs can win, what needs to happen for them to lift the trophy, what needs to happen for the Knicks to lift the trophy. We'll give out our predictions, and we'll be on our way. Then we'll be given game breakdowns throughout the series on this stuff. But Tyson, I'm pretty excited for this matchup. How are you feeling going into this thing?
I'm pumped. This is it feels like the Knicks are new blood, even though they've been in conference final. Like this is the farthest that the Knicks have made a run. But it does feel, this isn't Boston again. And I know there's been tons of parity in the 2020s, but it does feel it's pretty cool that the New York Knicks are here playing in the NBA Finals. I know you don't agree with me so much, but I think it's good for basketball when the New York Knicks are rolling. And then San Antonio, like we just did an episode on the Thunder, kind of post-mortem. Go check that out. But San Antonio sped up the timeline to a degree that I'm not sure, how many people thought was possible before the season started. And you can say, we thought Wemby was going to be awesome. But did you think that Stephon Castle was going to kind of turn into a star here? Or did you think that Dylan Harper, was going to be this composed and this awesome in a playoff run? And some of the other guys, Champagne's been unbelievable. And some of this stuff, it's their first run. And so for them to be here is super exciting. This is excellent for the NBA. Excellent.
I think especially with the Knicks being here, and I'm a Sixers fan, so Tyson was kind of saying that tongue in cheek. I used to not mind the Knicks as a Sixers fan when they're worse than the franchise I support. But now that they're good and they're rubbing it in, they got freaking their fans coming in and taking over what used to be the Wells Fargo Center. I mean, it's sickening to watch, especially because the Sixers haven't been to the finals in 2001. Now we got the Knicks going here. Like, come on, what is this world coming to? But no, this Knicks team is exciting. I mean, Jalen Brunson, small guard, can he do it? Really kind of like the first small guard. I mean, people put Curry in that thing, but I mean, really, since what, Isaiah Thomas?
Curry's 6'3", and Brunson's listed at 6'2", and there's been a million reports. Everybody's like, I'm standing next to this guy, and he's not 6'2". Brad, before we get too far into this thing, first question, we didn't talk about this in the pre-show. Does this legitimize the NBA Cup to you at all? These are the two teams that were playing in it, and now they're meeting up in the finals.
Well, Tyson, the NBA Cup is young, right? So this is the first rematch we've had in the NBA Cup and the NBA Finals. So we could have a double here for the Knicks. But I guess, right? I mean, because it's like, yeah, these two best teams in December, they're meeting. So maybe, I guess, if that's what Adam Silver's wanting, right? It's something, a precursor in the middle of the regular season that maybe can point to something in the finals. So maybe, Tyson, the further we go along as the NBA Cup gets a little bit older, we'll look at this and be like, yeah, maybe that is a signal that we'll get a matchup in the finals.
That's how little it matters to people, is that after Game 7, the first thing Mike Tirico says is we have a rematch of the 1999 NBA Finals, which is accurate and the bigger thing to be excited about. But it's like the NBA has been pushing this Cup thing on us. These two guys just played in the Cup, and the NBA broadcast isn't even bringing it up.
I know. They had to be a little bit pissed about that. They're like, dude, come on. It was sitting right there. Very interesting. Tyson mentions the NBA Cup. The Knicks won. Knicks also won 2 out of 3 of these matchups in the regular season. December 16th, when they played, Knicks won 124-113. December 31st, the Spurs won 134-132. Then on March 1st, the Knicks won 114-89. Knicks defense really good throughout this. They forced a ton of turnovers, held the Spurs to around 40% shooting. So, and I think that's really what you got to be concerned about here. If Stephon Castle, who's had a propensity to turn the ball over, and the Spurs kind of get a little turnover heavy, the Knicks, if we've seen, can just avalanche you because they get out and run, they push the pace, and all of a sudden you're looking up, you're like, we're down 12. What is going on here? So I think that's a big thing that I'm circling coming into this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. And then San Antonio played the Knicks differently, in those 3 games. There were some times where Victor Wembanyama was just sitting off of Josh Hart and roaming, and Josh Hart does the thing that winners do, and he makes all of his shots, and he makes you look stupid. And then Wemby guarded Cat too. And so we'll find out kind of which way San Antonio wants to go with this, but they weren't able to get a firm handle on it. So that's one of the areas that I push back a little bit with everyone kind of anointing San Antonio is these guards are hyper athletic in San Antonio and they're super aggressive. But what happens if they're getting cooked or Jalen Brunson's on the bull by? Because he's going to get his. Brunson and we're either going to have the shortest finals MVP of all time or the tallest. Like there's no way to me that Karl-Anthony Towns wins finals MVP here or Castle wins it in San Antonio. Like this is a clash of styles, so to speak. It's clash of heights for sure. But I think that there is something you can point to with San Antonio never really figured out how to defend these guys when they matched up. And it didn't matter a bunch. It just doesn't in the regular season. The San Antonio Spurs coaching staff wasn't losing sleep over how to guard the Knicks because if they thought they were meeting the New York Knicks in the NBA Finals, they were better prognosticators than everyone else, and they probably are. But it was Boston's East to lose, even though Tatum was coming off of the injury and all of that stuff. It was just kind of, well, we're pretty sure Boston's going to make it. We're pretty sure Oklahoma City's going to make it. San Antonio could win the West, but the Knicks were floated kind of on the periphery here. They were not the first name. And then they packed up everybody else's favorite throughout this playoff run. They have destroyed everyone, dude.
If CJ McCollum doesn't hit and get hot in those first two games and hit the buzzer beater, I mean, we're looking at this Knicks team going into this. I mean, legitimately, potentially undefeated.
Dude, they're plus 262 since they lost those two games to the Hawks. And in those two games they lost to Atlanta, they lost those by 1 point. Right? Like
crazy.
Dude, they're 11-0 or whatever. They haven't lost in over a month. Plus 262 in point differential there since April 23rd. I don't think people kind of were wrapping their heads around how truly ridiculous this is. Like the Oklahoma City Thunder last year were awesome. They were plus 170 throughout the NBA playoffs. So Knicks are plus 90. They would have to lose every game to the Spurs by 20 to even get close to the point differential that we thought was special a year ago.
Yeah, and I'm looking at this now, and this is from Cleaning the Glass, just the four-factor stuff. Points per possession, the Knicks are the best in the playoffs. I mean, by a long shot. Like, it's not even close. This offense has been on a completely different level. Their effective field goal percentage, Tyson, is 60.1% in the playoffs. I mean, that's unheard of. Like, what, Mikal Bridges was shooting like 80% on a sample size of 100 shots or something. Like, it was ridiculous how hot these guys were. Plus, Cat is rebounding the basketball at a high level. Their defense, also, something that's not been the calling card of the Knicks over the years, especially with this iteration, they're the best defense in the playoffs. That includes the San Antonio Spurs. So this team has been the best in the playoffs. And sure, you can point to, and I think rightfully so, okay, the Hawks weren't very good, and it kind of took 2 games. Everybody's kind of questioning Mike Brown. Okay, we should have fired Tibbs, which I think they definitely needed to. Mike Brown's a better coach than Tibbs for this team, in my opinion. And then you play the Sixers, who are coming off their miraculous win over the Celtics, right, in Game 7, and they just completely destroyed them. And the Knicks have been a better match or a nightmare matchup for the Sixers for a few years now. And then you play the Cavs team who has James Harden on it. Like, was there any doubt that that's how it was going to go? But to your point, Tyson, they haven't been skating by in 6 games or, gentlemen sweep here. Like, they have been destroying teams. Like, honestly, breaking the will down for the other team to play basketball. On the other side, the Spurs just dispatched the two-time MVP, the reigning champs, the team that went on their own dominant-looking run last year in the Thunder, and they did it in 7 games with players and the stars who are 23 and under. That's the most impressive part here. So I think, to your point coming in there, I think a lot of people are looking at this, oh, my God, you beat the Thunder. That team looked like they were going to win again. Oh, the Knicks got no chance here. That was kind of my thought going into this thing, but the more I've been thinking about it, I do give the Knicks a hell of a chance here.
Yeah, I think it's better than a puncher's chance, which is kind of the way the thing that's been floated. But you can't blame people because Victor Wembanyama just did that, over the course of 7 games. And I'm not, there's a lot of people that are revising kind of the middle games of the series about how he was maybe a little better than he was because the numbers are crazy. But there were moments here where you look up in Game 5, I think it was, and it's like Wemby has 4 rebounds. The game's over.
I know.
Like there has been moments here where it's like, okay, San Antonio is not invincible. That all of this being said, and kind of that whole thing came off like pro Knicks by us, but I think it was just kind of tempering expectations a little bit. San Antonio is rightfully favored to win this series.
For sure. Wembanyama is a freak. You kind of get worried about Karl Anthony Towns getting into foul trouble, especially because Mitchell Robinson got the boxer surgery on his broken pinky. He got that surgery and procedure because he wants to play in game 1. So all signs are pointing to him playing. What happens if he aggravates it? And Karl Anthony Towns picks up another foul. He gets into foul trouble during games. You don't have Mitchell Robinson. That's troublesome, especially when you're dealing with somebody like Wembanyama. Because at least when you're the Thunder, you have
can't throw OG at him.
Right.
Yeah,
like we saw the Thunder try to do that. It was a disaster.
Yes. No, that's kind of that's a bugaboo in the room. Is in the East, like Josh Hart can play minutes against fives and be fine. Or you can throw OG at him if you want to go super small. You do that, and it's one hand at the top of the key, and he's turning around and shooting it without even touching the ball with his other hand. And Victor Wembanyama. So this is a special NBA Finals. I think this is going to be a real treat.
Let's get into how the Spurs can win, Tyson. Obviously, Wembanyama is going to be the storyline going into this thing. Castle, Harper, the young duo. What do you, when you're looking at, top couple things, 3 things, what are you looking at you're circling how the Spurs can win this series and become NBA champions?
Well, the number one thing for me, and I know it's cliche and people can yell at me if they want, but Victor Wembanyama just has to be special. Like, this has to be the guy that we saw in game 1, we saw in game 7. We've seen numerous times throughout his short NBA career, and we've seen on the international stage. Whereas, he's just better than everybody else, and he's not losing today. It took what they call themselves, the Avengers in the Olympics a couple years ago to really take that French team down. Like, it took a special Steph Curry performance. Victor Wembanyama was awesome on some of these super big stages that we've seen him on, and we need that again if you're San Antonio. So that's the number one thing I would circle. Number 2 is I think the guards have to play within themselves, and they're going to do. I'm not like Stephon Castle will turn the ball over. He's going to have a game where Mikal Bridges just gets to him, and he turns the ball over 8 times, 9 times, 10. He had a 10 turnover game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That is going to happen, but you kind of have to live with that a little bit, and it just can't be 6 games worth. This guy can't finish the series with 40 turnovers because then you lost if you're San Antonio. But you need the hyper aggression of him, of Dylan Harper, of Vassell, of these guys really getting into Jalen Brunson and making his life hard, because the Knicks are not the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I think that, you can look at that 2 ways. The Thunder are awesome and everyone knows it. They got turned into the Pistons because they didn't have a guy that could take the heat off of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. The Knicks don't have that issue because if Jalen Brunson doesn't have the ball in his hands, 4 of the other 5 guys on the court at any given time can go get their own shot. And so you can't blitz Brunson the same way they were just selling out to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And so that's going to be a coaching adjustment. But the third thing is just really inexperience kills in these moments. And I think it's beneficial that they're playing a team that also hasn't been here. But like I said, the New York Knicks have some battle-tested dudes on this roster. And they haven't played in finals, but they've played in huge spots. And so I think that that's like a legitimate concern. If you're a San Antonio Spurs fan, it feels awesome to beat the reigning champs in the Western Conference Finals. How many times have we seen teams win conference finals in sports and they're crying on the court and we did it and we've done it, and then they get shipped up by somebody who, our goal was to lift the big trophy at the end.
I got 2 things, I think, for me that I'm really circling, and it goes in line with what you said about the guards. De'Aaron Fox has to be healthy. Like, he can't be continuing to have that lingering hamstring issue.
How mad are the Kings, really by the way?
Oh, man, dude, they got to be pissed.
It's Mike Brown versus De'Aaron Fox, dude.
I know, and there's somebody else did something. Maybe it was Bill Simmons, was highlighting just how many mistakes, and Halliburton was in the finals last year, and there was something else. Luka was, leading scorer, was doing something else, or was in the finals the year before, and they passed on him. Something crazy. The Kings are just cursed. I mean, it's got to be brutal for them to watch this, but he's got to be healthy for the Spurs. I mean, and that's really out of their control, and it's not something you can say, all right, we got to go do this. Get your hamstring healthy. But it has to be, because Castle, yes, he was able to kind of withstand, or the Spurs were able to withstand the barrage of that Thunder defense, but it was really only because Fox is healthy and able to come back healthy and take some of the pressure off of Stephon Castle. So that's a big thing that I've circled. De'Aaron Fox has got to be dynamic. That's how they can win, by being an elite ball handler, by getting to the rim, opening things up. You saw what it did in Game 7 when he was playing at his best. It really helped out the Spurs. So I think that's number 1. Fox has to be impactful. Number 2, shooters. Vassell, Champagnie, they have to show up. It's simple. Because if they're hitting threes, you can't then just go down and double team, kind of throw Josh Hart, do some little digs on Wemby. You're going to have to stay true to those shooters. But if Champagnie's not hitting shots like he did early in the series, if Vassell's not as effective as he was, not just hitting shots, but getting to the rack and doing all these different things for the Spurs, that's a big concern for them. So I think those two things, Fox has to be really good. Fox has to be healthy and impactful. And then Champagnie and Vassell have to be hitting shots, or else I think it's going to be tough for the Spurs to win. Because I think Wembanyama is going to have a good series here. I think this is a better matchup for him. I know we kind of look at Cat. Okay, you can do similar stuff here. But the physicality that Hartenstein provided is not going to be there, in my opinion, against the Knicks, potentially with Mitchell Robinson. I just don't know what his role is going to be. So those three things for me have to come through here for the Spurs.
He's not playing Chet again, brother.
What about a potential X factor for the Spurs here? Anything that you have circled? Like, is it a Mitch Johnson thing? Is it the bench? Is it Cornette? Like anything that comes off as an X factor for you?
I think Mitch Johnson is a great shout there. I think the non-Wemby minutes, which at this point should just be Luke Cornett's nickname, are going to be a pretty massive thing there. But I think you hit the nail on the head. It's Champagnie drilling threes. It's Vassell getting his shot and making them, because that turns his team into a completely different threat. It's not just. And that's kind of one of the things that bothered me a little bit about the way the Western Conference Finals was covered. It was like Wemby and the gang, like look at he's so good that they're doing all of this stuff. It's like the other dudes are awesome and they're being awesome. And the naivete or whatever of not having been in this moment certainly benefited them against Oklahoma City. And so I think that's, a bigger X factor than anything. And that's why Mitch Johnson, I think, is a good shot. That don't play scared, like you're a better team top to bottom than the New York Knicks. So just go be better.
I think an X factor for me is Dylan Harper. What are you going to get from him off the bench? Because when he's at his peak, takes the team to the next level, right? The Spurs, you're getting an elite guy off the bench. So depending on how he plays in series, he plays.
How does Rutgers not make the tournament?
I know, it's shocking. With the Ace Bailey again too. Actually, it was pretty good for the Jazz, but that's why I've circled Dylan Harper. If he's really good, I think the Spurs had a hell of a chance to win this thing. If not, it's going to be much tougher. But let's look at it from the Knicks side here. What do you have circled for how the Knicks can win this series?
I think that their 3-and-D guys, of which they have multiple, need to be 3-and-D guys. Like Mikal Bridges needs to be awesome. And he's been to the finals before. He understands kind of what this is about. And he didn't have an excellent finals in 2021 against the Bucks, but he was a very young player at that point, and he was pretty good. And this core, they played a ton of basketball together at this point. And I think that benefits. And so that's one thing to me. Like OG has to be good. Josh Hart has to be good. Brad, we need either a Landry Shamet game or a Deuce McBride game. Like they need one. If they're going to win this series, it's going to be one of those two guys. And I think that Landry Shamet's a guy that's also been in the finals, right? Deuce McBride's a guy that can really come in, and you start looking around, you're like, oh, he's been the best player on the entire court for the last 3 minutes. One of those two dudes has to have moments here because the Knicks are going to need help from the others.
They definitely need help from the others. I think the biggest thing for me is Cat has to be impactful, and he's got to stay out of foul trouble.
He needs to turn the net to flames. Like he's got to be 40% clip from three.
I don't even know if he needs to shoot from three, Tyson. I'd rather have, and it's not going to happen because he just doesn't do it, but he's got to attack. Like if you can just attack Wembanyama, use your size, use your strength. He's got a thick frame. He's able to draw fouls too, which I think is beneficial here. But if he's able to at least attack Wemby, just don't stay on the perimeter and try to draw him away, because Wembanyama can take one step and go and block a shot. But you got to actually force him to defend mentally and physically, where you're driving at him, where you're doing different things, shooting over him, things like that. Like you have to be engaged for Cat. And on the defensive end, don't pick up stupid fouls. Seriously, you can't do that. We don't know what Mitchell Robinson's going to do. And if he's out there, they're just going to go point Wemby and really play him off the floor. Then really your team is screwed. You don't have the size to compete with them. So Cat is the biggest thing for me if I'm looking at the Knicks, how to win. And secondly, what Mikal Bridges are we going to get? Because if we're getting the Hawks Mikal Bridges early on, they're cooked. They have no chance. If we're getting I'm going to be a creator, I'm going to be able to hit shots, I'm hitting threes in the corner, I'm hitting my little fadeaways, Knicks have a hell of a chance to win here. But those two guys are the biggest question marks that I have. And if it's positive, Knicks can win. If it's negative, they could get packed up like it's 99.
99, dude. We're going to hear that a lot over the next 2 weeks.
So X factor for you then, without Shamit or McBride?
Shamit McBride, and again, like Mikhail is awesome there, but this is maybe a little cheesy because Victor Wembanyama was not my X factor for the Spurs. I said that we know that Jalen Brunson's going to get his. Is this going to be a Jalen Brunson has 40 piece a couple times in this NBA Finals? Like, truly, and he's capable of that. And so I think that although maybe a cheap X factor, like if he is just the version of Jalen Brunson that puts the ball in the basket better than almost everybody else in the NBA, they're going to be fine because this team shares the ball better than everybody else in the league right now. Truly, I mean, Oklahoma City was really good at it too, but this run that the Knicks have been on, everybody eats, and it's hard to do that in the NBA Finals. And so let your superstar guard shut Becky Hammond up, shut the San Antonio Spurs up, and go out and get 200 points over the course of the series.
The Becky Hammond angle is interesting too because she was the assistant coach, right, for the Knicks, obviously under Pop. And
it also wasn't a crazy thing to say. And
no, she's factual too. Like literally, look through the history of stuff. I mean, it's crazy, but she's got to be rooting hard for her Spurs to go through here. But I mean, along those lines, my X factor, it's going to be Josh Hart because everybody's eating and everybody's sacrificing. The poster child for that was Josh Hart. He didn't freaking play in Game 1 against the Cavs, and the basketball gods rewarded him. He's actually hitting threes. He's going to be huge. I mean, he does the Swiss Army knife stuff for the Knicks. So dirty work, gets rebounds, facilitates,
awesome.
Takes pressure off of Brunson, whatever the case may be. If he's hitting threes, it's going to be really good. I was going to say OG Anunoby, but it feels like he's kind of gotten to that level where you just know what he's going to give you each and every night.
Yeah.
Like, yes, his hamstring's a thing, but I don't even know if he's an X factor because it feels like he's just hitting his averages pretty much every game. But I think Hart is the guy. If he has a series, Knicks can win this championship. Like if you're like, oh, he's making his presence felt, they could win this thing for sure. So let's get into our predictions, Tyson. Oh boy, I can't believe I'm doing this. I did not think I was going to land on here, but the more I thought about this thing, I'm going Knicks in 7. I think we're going to get a really good series. Is it going to be an all-timer where we're looking back and this like, man, every game was awesome? Or is it going to be like the 2016 finals where it was like, oh, blow out here, blow out here, blow out here. Oh, but that final game was amazing. I think we'll take it either way as long as we get 7 games of this. Everybody's kind of coming off their high that, oh, the floppers aren't in it. OKC's out. I think a lot of people are going to take after those. They come out of the simulation or they're just hatred of OKC. They're going to take off those rose-colored glasses. And I watch this game like, man, the Knicks kind of flop a lot. Wow, Wembanyama does flop a lot. It was like, wow, maybe it's not just the Thunder who flop. But I think the Knicks win in 7. This will be interesting for me. I'm excited for this series. Who do you think is going to win? What's your prediction?
That's crazy because all day today I've known that I was going to come on here and I was going to be contrarian to you. But I think the New York Knicks are going to ship the San Antonio Spurs out of here. Like I think the Knicks are packing them up in 6. I really do. I think San Antonio is better. But the rest that the Knicks have had can go one of 2 ways. Like it could have cooled this whole thing off.
Right.
But so could have after they swept in round 2 and then they sweep in round 3. This is a team right now that has found something special, and I just can't get over, since those Hawks games, it hasn't been close with anybody. Like they turned Donovan Mitchell, I've been a Donovan Mitchell hater myself, so it's fun to watch everybody kind of come over to my side. But this team is beating people by so much that it's not even like they're winning games by 40. And it just kind of feels like the first time was like, oh, wow, the Knicks are up by 30. And then they did it again. And then they did it again. And then they did it again. And this is a tidal wave that, I think you need to be taller than 7'4" to withstand. And I think the New York Knicks are going to shoot an absurd percentage and kind of make all of us reconsider what we thought about this NBA basketball season because they've been awesome. And I think they're going to get this done. Basketball
is about momentum. Basketball is about team chemistry. Basketball is about finding lightning in a bottle to go on runs. We've seen it in the course of the history of the NBA, right? Where these teams that you don't think are going to go on these runs catch lightning in a bottle and they do it, right? The Pistons back when they beat the Lakers, they had an incredible run, right? With Rip Hamilton and Chauncey and all them. the Dirk team that everybody loved when he finally got over the hump. That freaking Mavs team was atrocious. We look back on it, but they all did their role. Jason Terry's hitting shots. Sean Stevenson, 3-and-D. Dirk was unbelievable, and this Knicks team has that feel. This Knicks team has that feel, man. I'm with you. This will be interesting. I think we might have to put some scratch on it because if we're right, we're right. I'm worried that they are going to get cooled off, but Tyson, at the same time, dude, that come down for the Spurs could be huge. And plus, they just had a 7-game war. Like, what do they have in the tank?
That's one of the bigger reasons why, even at the end of Game 7, I was like, that's amazing that San Antonio Spurs just did that. That I can understand why they feel the way that they feel right now. But that release of emotion was something that we've seen in the past that doesn't lead itself to a championship 2 weeks later. It just doesn't. We've seen across all sports, man. It's like we dethroned the defending champions. That's awesome. Well, the Bengals beat the Chiefs and then lost the Super Bowl. Like this stuff happens.
I want to let you get your Wemby take off here before people start watching the finals and we're going to get a bigger audience. Because you've been texting me on the side. You're like, how long until the general basketball public starts hating Victor Wembanyama?
Oh, we're close. We're super close. I love.
You want to put a timestamp on it?
End of the series, especially if they win.
I was going to say end of the series. I think maybe it starts turning a little bit.
Yeah, if they win, we might get through the summer with like Wemby being the best player in the world, the face of the NBA, all of those things that he's earned. And this is not my feelings. I love watching Victor Wembanyama play. I think he's going to be awesome for a long time, and I hope he's awesome for a long time. But I've seen this movie before. He's 22. If they go on and they win this finals, and then they're gonna love him all summer, and then next season starts, and Wemby complains a lot. And Wemby, that elbow that Wemby threw would have gotten everybody else ejected from the game and would have had to sit. He didn't have to do that. He doesn't. He went all of Game 6 against San Antonio without getting called for a foul. And this is a guy who's pretty handsy, and he's excellent on defense. But in order to be excellent on defense, you have to be involved in the game. And so sometimes he's not called the way that I think, people look at it, especially this was everyone's been introduced to Victor Wembanyama. This was the first time I think that the entire basketball world, was getting everybody else to watch, because that's where the hate starts. And I think that that's kind of, it's got too much going for him for the internet to just let this slide. Like if they lose, that's when I know the hate's going to take off, because the Knicks fans they're going to whitewash the internet into thinking that we've always hated Victor Wembanyama. But if they win, he literally has until October 31st, and then he's going to flop in Game 1 or do something. And the guy's like, he's 7'4", he's smart, he's very articulate, he's well spoken, he's really good at what he does. All of the things are adding up to, oh man, people are going to destroy this guy.
Tyson, you're forgetting the very essence of why people hate these superstars and they want to tear them down. It's because the media fawns over them. This entire freaking series, could NBC have run a better puff piece for Wembanyama? I mean, my God, Teresa's writing them love letters. It was unbelievable. Like, look at Wembanyama, pumped him up in the huddle. I'm like, every player does that. He's a leader on the team. It's like you're acting like we're seeing stuff we've never seen before from a huddle perspective. I'm like, yeah, a 7'4" guy doing whatever he's doing, shooting step back threes. That's stuff we've never seen before. We're in awe by. But you don't have to be like writing them love letters. I mean, it was to the point where I'm like, what are we talking about? He's like, yeah, and remember, guys, after like 7 players scored for the Spurs, Wembanyama was speaking in the huddle. I'm like, that's not why they just went on this run. It's because they hit shots. Like, what are you talking about?
Or he bumps into Chet.
So I think that's going to be a big part.
He bumps into Chet coming back from the timeout, and people just start losing their minds all over the place. Like, this happens all the time. You guys are running. He's too close to the sun. And I want Victor Wembanyama to rattle off some of these things, because I think that this is the first time in my life outside of LeBron James where I've sat and watched somebody and been like, yeah, I think he could do it. Like, I think this guy could really be the best player of all time. And that is just not a recipe to be loved by the general public.
I think he gets a longer tail if he loses this, because it'll be like, no, Wemby, come on, we want to do it. I think if he wins, it's
what if he throws a fit?
Quickly.
What if he does that? Because he's done it before, where he's a sore loser, and that's a good thing, at the highest level of sports. But if Victor Wembanyama is wearing your emotions on your sleeve is awesome until you lose, and then it's like, what's wrong with this guy?
Yeah, I don't know. That'll be interesting. All right, I'm glad we timestamped that. All right, so we're recording this on May 31st, 2026. It's coming out June 1st.
I said you got 6 months.
Tyson says he's got 6 months. I think if they lose, which we're predicting here, it's going to be a little bit longer than that. I think he's going to get about a year plus. If they win this thing, I think the hate's coming quick. I think maybe next season people are going to be like, we actually don't like this guy. And Tyson, we know big guys, people don't like big guys. Yeah. The guards are lovable. Curry bombing threes, Michael Jordan, people love Kobe even. You get up to 6'8" LeBron and he's kind of bullying people. Shaq, people didn't like.
Too big.
Too big.
I can't do that at the YMCA.
Exactly. So this will be interesting. This will be very interesting. So we'll see. All right, NBA Finals preview. That's it for us here. Smash the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're listening in podcast form. Don't miss a single thing we're doing because the NBA Finals here, we're going to be breaking down, trying to do after every game. So I don't want to promise anything because Tyson's, got a busy schedule here right now. And so I'm not putting it all on Tyson, obviously, but, life gets in the way. So I know he's got some stuff coming up too. So we're going to try to do that because we love breaking down basketball, going back to our roots. Like I said, when we're doing the draft coverage stuff, a little pregame action on the draft. So go check that out if you're curious as well. But we'll be diving in some basketball stuff here before we kind of turn the calendar to football. So like I said, subscribe so don't miss a single thing. Share it with your basketball buddies. Share it with an enemy, all that good stuff. We'll talk to you when we talk to you. Till then, guys, peace.